Hello everyone, welcome back to my digital painting tutorial. Last time we talked about more refinement on the skin and how to make color adjustments, and this time we're going to concentrate on the hair. So let's go ahead and jump right in. From the last one, because I made an adjustment, you can see I'm going to go ahead and merge these two layers. And if you are not sure how to do that, it's layer merge down if you have yours separated. Or just hit Command E or the equivalent for Windows. Now when you do, I have my eyelashes on this separate layer, and if you remember, I went in with a small brush and literally just drew them in. And this is generally how it's going to be for the hair as well. One by one, draw them in. So let me just do this real quick, show you how it's done. I talked about the technique for eyelashes and hair is going to be, instead of going down like that, I tend to have the points of the hair gather like so, you know, so we'll be doing that. Let's add this in just because I forgot to do it earlier and I figure I might as well just do it while you guys can see it. So we'll do this like double time. Okay. So we have that done. The purpose of doing this, say I really hate it, I could just select and delete it, and that's the purpose of doing it on a separate layer. So let's go ahead, create a new layer, and this button here will do it. Layer, new layer will do it, or just the command for it, which for Mac it's Command Shift N. So let's go ahead and name this hair. Now if you're doing really detailed hair behind her neck, say you didn't have it blocked in, you would just go ahead and do a layer underneath it and do the hair there, and then one on top. But for this, just to make it simple, we'll just do it all on one layer. So let's go ahead, I think we're going to make her a brunette. Go ahead and pick a dark color. Okay. Oh, that's too yellow. Make it much redder, more red. And we'll just go in and start adding just smaller shadows here to start with. And you don't want your opacity too high. It takes less time if the opacity is higher, but it also like helps with the hair illusion later if you've been using a low opacity the whole time. So we're literally just drawing lines in, kind of how the hair shape will be. And it's okay if you go over the ears and stuff right now. Since it's on a separate layer, you could always go back in and finally erase it. And I have done that before. So let's go ahead and she'll probably end up, I'm not really sure what hairstyle I did. I'm gonna go back to this painting layer, oops, and erase some of this so it groups at her neck a little bit cleaner. And then go back to my hair layer. So we add in some shadows. This is her part line, so let's darken that area a bit. And when you darken it, add a few of these little spiky areas just so, you know, it looks a little better. Okay, now I'm gonna switch my colors with X and pick a lighter color, a little bit more red, a little bit lighter, and we'll keep the brush size about the same. Throw these in. You kind of want multiple tones to begin with. Seems counterproductive because eventually you're going to go in and kind of paint over them a little bit, but any areas that you missed with the dark, you can just switch with X, go back in with them, and then some light, and then some dark, and this whole area eventually will be a little bit darker, so we might as well just darken it up because the light source is here, so this will be all in shadow. Just gonna darken that up for now, make it a little bit easier on us later. And we can go ahead and lighten this up. So we're gonna take hers down. By the way, if you're wondering, I have just one of these default brushes up here. It's precisely, I don't think it'll show me because I've messed with it. It's just like one of these, and you can just pick it. So, you know, and then you want your hardness down to, you know, between like 25 and 30. And you know, you'll be messing with your diameter as you go. I'm going to actually make mine smaller. I'm going to take this shadow area again and reaffirm some of these shadows. Go in, and just keep drawing this area, which looks a bit bald, so I'm going to make my brush bigger and just really go in there. Make it smaller again, take the lighter color, add it here, darker color here, make it a bigger brush. I'm really just using those bracket keys. I just hit them a bunch of times. I just find it faster, but you can, you know, right click and drag your size there that way. Okay. So that's, you know, pretty good for the base. These hair areas where I was going to have it stick up, you can throw a few of those darker colors in here. I made this, oops, my computer's lagging. Made this this area a bit bigger than I wanted. I can go down to the painting layer if I want and sort of erase it a bit. So I'll have more, and then go back to the hair layer. And we can, now when you do areas like this, like I said, you'll kind of want them to be coming in points. Let's add a few highlights here too. And that gives her, she has kind of a few little weird things about her hair. It's layered, but that's okay. I'm gonna bring this up a little bit here. I'm just switching between that dark color and this lighter color and just adding this interesting hair area in. We can make a little section that sticks out there, going through it. Okay, that's looking a little more detailed. So now continue on in this vein, but you're just going to continually, I change the color just a little bit each time. And so that'll be the new highlight. I'm going to hit next, picking that other one, and the new darker one could just be here. And I just change it for variety because color is kind of different. And then I'm going to make my brush smaller, and I'm literally just going to go in and add some more streaky areas. I'm going to add this area while I'm here, and I'm grouping these in points, not like exact, you know, triangles, but just kind of hinted at them like that. And just go in and add that since we laid the groundwork for it. And go in now and add some more finer detailed hair here. Put that in there and just go through, add some more here, go around here, and have this hair end up here. Now if you really want like superbly painted hair, you're just gonna have to have so much patience because that's really the trick to it. You can have some certain special brushes that have, like, you know, 3 dots in a row. Sometimes people use those and it'll kind of speed the process and stuff, but in general you'll need just have a lot of patience, add a lot of, you basically draw it in one hair at a time. And it's the same with oil painting. You just have to have a lot of patience, crazy amounts of patience. And just draw it in, one scratch, scratch, scratch. And I'll do this here. And you know, you see those blocky colors back here. Anytime you're uncomfortable with them, you could either make her hair a little bigger, but I'm kind of happy with that size, so I'm just going to go in that painting layer that I have and take my brush and just sort of erase them away. And then when you get to your hair layer, you can keep working. I know there's some areas there, we'll go over that in a bit. And I'm going to like that. Okay, so now we have more texture. I'm going to go ahead and go in with the highlights now and not go as crazy with them. Just add a few here, add some here, put a few down here. This area, nope. A little few at the part line, a few over here, and I don't think I'll add very many over here at all. Just a few. Okay, and then I'm gonna go and do this. That'll be an area with a lot more highlights. Okay, so now we're gonna take this, go up a little more, make it a little more yellow this time. I'll make this one a little darker this way. And you're gonna make your brush even smaller. Maybe not quite that small yet. I'm at 10 points. That seems to be good. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to add more strands. There's more strands. This area here, you can make a few like that if you want. Just make it look like they're not quite, you know, clean. Like I said, you'd probably want to go in. This would take a little bit longer if you were, if you want your hair to just look outstanding. But since this is more of a speed paint, this will work. Just got kind of a calic thing going on there. And do some more down here. And I'm gonna actually curve some out just to make it look a little bit more natural. Curve some out here too. Curve some in. And looks a little wispy over here. I might work on that with a bigger brush. And put some here. Just mark those in. Sketch, sketch, sketch. Just add a bunch of these lines in here. Okay. And then we're gonna cross it and add some of these highlights. Make them look nice. More so on this side where the light source is. Just add those in. You can add a few like areas here, just varying the length of your sketches right where like a highlight might hit it. And we'll have a little secret with the dodge tool later. I'll add a few over here, especially back here where the light might warp around. And then, you know, you can add them here. Then I'm going to take this black one. I'm going to add a few little strands here and here. And this is the point of having this hair on this separate layer. Like if you do this and then you're like, oh shoot, I don't want that like that, you can go back in more easily and fix it. Or if it's a bigger layer, you can't quite do that. Okay, so now with our darker color, the one we were just using is fine. We're going to make our brush big again. We're going to go in, and this is sort of how you blend it in. You just go and you take all those strands that you just meticulously painted and you kind of go over the edges where they were, so they blend in more like a hairstyle. And tend to do it kind of in a stripy, layered fashion, just to, you know, like her hair is real textured here. So we'll go in here. I'm gonna lay it on crazy thick here, and make sure I get this part area real well. Okay, and then now you still have some areas here. If you wanted to blend these in, you take that color and just sort of blend them in, you know, by going over those ends. And just depends on how well you want your hair to look, how realistic and stuff. You just spend a lot of time carefully blending those in by picking up colors around it and just blending them in pretty much the same as you did with your hair. And anytime you're worried that you've lost too much detail, you can just pick up, you know, you can make your brush real small again, pick up a nice highlight and just go in and highlight or shadow and just go in and add it back like that. But I'm not gonna go too much more. That's fine for how I'm doing this. I'm gonna go ahead real quick, jump in and do the eyebrows on this layer as well. And I'm just gonna pick, now that I have her hair kind of laid out, I'm gonna pick this color. I'm gonna make it a little more saturated than that. Just go ahead and sketch in the eyebrows, and they kind of go up there and then they smooth out over here, and the same here. They kind of go up a bit and then they smooth out over here. And similar to how you did the hair, you can just take this now and make it smaller. I'm going to pick up a darker color, go in with a smaller brush and just, you know, go over what I've done. And she'll have, like, you know, the hair kind of comes from the bottom up. These are like the follicle areas. And just, I'm not going to go super detailed. I'm not going to spend forever. I'm just going to kind of map them out how they'd be. like that. And then you can add a few highlights, but I wouldn't go too crazy with the highlights and the eyebrows because then she'll look kind of weird. Just a few highlights. And you probably would do that a little bit, you know, smoother. And I can already tell I've made this eyebrow too high. But since we did it on a separate layer, I'm just going to select it, move it down. There we go. And after you've done that, if you want to go back to your original painting layer and work on like the shadows, now that you know where the hair is, you can go and put them in like right under the eyebrow, make it a little bit more, you know, believable. Shadows right under her eyebrow. Now that's your choice. So, but let's go back to the hair layer now. And that's almost done. I'm just going to show you how to refine the tips here just real quick. I'm not going to go through them all the different areas where it tips. You take a brush that's a little bit bigger and you go in and you very carefully overlay the tips. And then you do that. And you have kind of sketched out where you want it, so make your brush real small again. And then add a few more, you know, areas there. And you would just keep doing that over and over and over again until these are really well blended in. And I would go ahead as like a last little thing is add a few loose strands here and here, here and there that don't quite match up. It just looks realistic, a little more realistic. And like that. You can even do them like over the hair there and there and there. And then I would take them, do the same with the highlights, make these a little more yellow. And then just, you know, add a few strangled hairs that will come out. Don't have it like right in the middle of the shadowed area. You'll have to blend it. Just kind of smooth it out. Smooth it out like that. You can have some come down over her face. And some over her ears. Let's see. Start that. Oops. Trying to get that in that mid-tone. That's okay. You know, that she looks kind of messy, but you know, you probably don't want to go too extreme. I had probably more than I would have. And then the last little tip I have is her hair right now, since we use the same color, is not dark enough on this side. So I'm going to take that multiply tool. I'm going to select a well saturated darker color, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to add the shadows. And this won't totally get rid of your highlights and stuff. You don't want to go too crazy or you will lose all your detail. And I'm kind of staggering. You see how I'm not doing it too much. And that way, you know, you go in, and then if you want, you can just undo the normal, multiply, put it on normal, and add finishing touches yourself, even though you'll lose some of the detail. So, and then you can do the same here. If you want this to be a little brighter, what you're going to select instead is either lighten or screen. I'm going to choose screen, just because I know I like that filter a little bit better. And let's pick a peach color, turn my opacity down about 14, and then, oh, that's still way too much. Turn my opacity down to about 5 or 4, and then go in just real carefully there, and just add a little bit. And you can see, you know, the difference when you go through your history. Adds a little bit more of a highlight. I'm going to turn this back before I forget to normal. Put that up. And I'm going to now take the dodge tool, which is right over here. Make sure it's on dodge. You can choose midtones or highlights. I usually go with midtones. And bump my exposure down to 10%. And I'm going to make my brush much bigger. Maybe not much bigger. About there. Actually, let's take it small at first and add a few little things here, here, here. A few over here. And then let's reaffirm that. Take it, make it bigger, and then go over kind of in an arc like this. And what this does is give it just a touch of a highlight. and you probably want be a little more careful. I kind of went extreme with that. I might not want that much, but you know, you could always go in and re-darken your darker and mid-tone colors if you're worried. Just go through that, and you just that little highlight arc just kind of adds a little bit nicer touch to it, I think. And I think that's general idea. You'd want to refine your painting a lot more. You'd want to work down here, maybe, and you'd want to work on the hair more, and you'd want to work on contrast. This side of her face should be a little bit darker and stuff. But I think in general terms of the tutorial, I've covered pretty much everything. Hopefully I've covered everything I think you need to know. One last little finishing touch. I'm going to add a background. I'm going to go back to this paint layer. Make sure I'm not deleting any of the hair. Delete all these weird little marks I made in the eyelash layer and the hair layer. Oops. I'm going to lose a little detail. So there we go. Let's go ahead. The last little thing we'll do is I'll just show you, we'll throw a background in. So let's say, let's just put some random colors in there, and you can actually, oops, I'm gonna make this a separate layer, new layer. You can go to layer, new if you want. And I'm going to throw some things in here. And sometimes it's good to just add this little finishing touch so your drawing sticks out a bit more. You want to be careful when doing this make sure that this is well covered. This painting layer is not opaque in any way, otherwise it'll start to show through like under there. So I'm going to take that random color, just make it a little bit darker here, and make my brush a little smaller, and add these things in. And if you want to make it look like she's actually standing somewhere, you could add like some shapes that look more purposeful, on the side here. And then just whatever, just however you want it. And then go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And just bump that like way up to, it's going to show me the preview. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so the shapes are pretty obscured. And that's like one last little finishing thing you can do to really make her look like, she's the main focus, and everything else, I'm going to actually turn this opacity down. She's the main focus, and you'd probably want to work on that background a little bit more, but that's my little finishing touch. You can do things behind her as well, like if you want her to look heavenly, I created a new layer. You can put like a glow around her. You'd probably want to do that a little more detailed. That'll make her pop a little bit more. I meant a little more careful. That gives her like an aura. That's the word. And one last thing, you can dodge it, which would just be literally taking the colors and putting a circle, and that makes it kind of, we'll blur that. I just hit Command F to do my last filter, which was that blur. And that kind of brings your eye right into the center there. And there's plenty of things you can do. I think I've covered everything I want to cover. If you guys have any more suggestions or questions, leave them in the comments. And hopefully this tutorial has helped. I know learning to digitally paint is kind of overwhelming. So hopefully this helped someone out there. And if you guys have any questions, or you want me to do any more tutorials on any other specific things, I might do a series in the future, very, very detailed on how to do eyes and nose and mouth and ears and stuff. But I just wanted to kind of do one that showed the whole process. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I will see you in the future.